Okay, good morning everybody. Let's talk halters. So I'm just gonna keep it simple and I'm going to do two major types of halters. In this hand we have a rope halter. In this hand we have a buckle halter with a snap lead. So let's first talk about what my favorite halter is, and that's okay. So the reason why the rope halter is my favorite is because the way that it can conform to the horse's face, and it's thin, so the thinness is something that can send a signal quickly, easily, and clearly. Another reason why I like a rope halter is because it can go underneath your bridle. So sometimes people have different ways of how they want to do this, but if you're trail riding and you want to keep your halter on underneath your bridle, that's a great idea, because if you ever have to get off, you can get off and use your rope and guide your horse through whatever you got to guide him through. You can tie them or things like that. So rope halters are really important if you are trying to communicate with your horse in a very clear, concise, consistent way with a lot of feel. So you want your horse to be able to follow the feel. And if you don't have the correct equipment for that, it is not going to work that well. So rope halters really help with that. So something else I'm particular about with my rope halters, I like to attach my rope directly to my halter. And the reason for that is because if you add metal in between your rope and your halter here, you are going to break the signal that comes through this rope and goes into this halter. It'll still work, but it's just not going to travel the same. And I'm always looking for equipment that sends my aids and my signals through really quickly and really easily. I also like to tie my rope to my rope halter like this. Some people tie it a little bit different, but this way has worked for me. And this rope is called an arborer's rope. You can get it, it's from arborists for climbing trees, or like yacht rope works really well to use for horses. And the purpose of that is because it has some weight to it. So you see how it has that nice droop in it? That is super duper beneficial for you to send your signal from your hand and your body to your horse's halter. So that's why I like rope halters. So here's a regular nylon buckle halter. So a lot of people use these if you're like catching horses in and out of the pasture, or some people use these halters like all the time for everything that they do. There is some benefits to them for those people that are specifically wanting to use this halter. But for me, there's no benefit to using a halter like this. So it's really heavy, it's really bulky, and this strap right here is a lot of surface area for the horse to push into. So that's why these types of halters are not my favorite for the type of horsemanship that I'm trying to accomplish. You can also see that this snap is huge and it's heavy, and like just holding this in my hands, it's like super duper heavy. And so that's going to be pushing down on the horse's nose all the time. And I really want my horse to still feel like the equipment is not confining him so much that he has somewhere to move and go to. So it sounds weird, but like the sensation of how heavy this is could feel more restricting than like how light this rope halter is. People like these because they might break in an emergency, but I am specifically talking about when you are doing your training sessions with your horses, what is going to help you teach your horse the best. Another thing to mention and note is that this rope right here is really thick, it's really chunky. For someone who has small hands like me, this is way too thick. It's also really light. It's not real dense, it doesn't have a lot of weight to it. You can see that it'll collapse pretty easily on itself, versus this arborer's rope will not collapse on itself with just the pressure of my hand. Of course, if a 1,000-pound horse is pulling back on this, this will collapse more, but this is not going to collapse as much as this one. And that's really important for when you need to untie your rope in an emergency. So I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions, just leave a comment below. Feel free to send me a message. You can email me at nicoleschaupthorsemanship@gmail.com. and I'd be happy to answer any of your questions. So I hope this was helpful. Please feel free to share. Thanks for watching.